And now, when we're done with setting up everything, we can try fixing our sculpting here. So firstly, I will probably have to fill in this gap. We can definitely copy, or not exactly copy, but mirror what do we have on the other side. So I'll do that, mirror both of these ones, and I'll apply. Go into, you can select both of the objects and go into edit mode. I'll select one of this, P, selection, L to select everything, P, and separate selection. Now, if I go back into object mode, everything should be their own object, which it is. Okay, I'll select this part, go into sculpting mode, and not forget to save your file. When your file is saved, let's slowly try to move this in the correct position on how we want it to be. Again, I'll cue for switching the tool. We can change our color back to where we were and just fill in those bold, naughty spots. Some smooth brush, nothing complicated. And at this point, I do a little bit of cheating. So I see this part is going this way. So what I do is take this and try to align it. You can try aligning, hiding, like this. I select this one, maybe make it a bit like that. I don't want to leave her a bit too much bold on below, so I'll take care of that. And of course, with this one, oh, I'm actually going to move this one like that, so it can definitely become a bit of testing what looks better, but just make sure it looks like it goes there. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but if you're really trying to make Jinx, I definitely recommend spending way more time than I am spending right now. I'll still show you how to fix some of the parts which we still didn't do yet. Okay, so when we have one side fixed, I'll show you that we still have a lot of boldness left underneath. What I do is, again, use one of the object, Shift D, so I have a duplicate, sculpting mode, and let's get our tools back, and let's position this. Okay, I will use the R, a bit of rotation, and this one will actually have to be something like this shape. Why did the rotation reset? Okay, something like this shape. I'll scale it a bit down. I guess it just doesn't apply rotation for some reason. They should definitely fix that. Grab tool. Let's maybe move it a bit closer. Okay, I guess you can't, if you rotate, you cannot do anything else with it. With transpose tools, they definitely should check up in that. I'll use inflate brush to inflate it back, because it seems like when we're moving it, we're losing a bit of volume. Get it pretty close to the head. What you can do is Alt Q, select this strand, you see which one is highlighted, and hide it. And have more visible view on what we're working on. I'll use a bit of pose tool to make this closer to the head. Then just move it out. And we have to make something like this. I'll heavily smooth this part. And you would have something like that. I would recommend adding one more here where it's hidden. But in this case, I will think that this is going to be enough for us right now. Okay. We have to do the same thing for other side. Let's go with that. We can definitely shift D to duplicate this object. We can flip it on sides. So how to do that is go edit mode, select everything, Control M. I don't know why, but it's for mirror. And which axis do you want to mirror on? So I want it to flip on X channel. So I'll press X and it will flip to X. Now we can slowly move it in the position. Go back from the edit mode and you can see that the shading looks different. So usually when you do this mirror, normals flips. So we have to unflip them, shift and do unflip. And now we can go back to our crispy work. Okay. Let's position it. I'll probably block this top part so I don't really think about it too much at the moment. Let's align our biggest strand. Definitely need to work on this one. This one I'll definitely be moving there. And as you can see, it doesn't have to work for every single part. I'm definitely will use a new annotation. If you're a true fan, tell me how many annotations I will have at the end of the video. So what I'm trying to do with this is very important, is that I'm following a fake shape of the braid. I'm not really connecting the object, but it does seem like it has some connection. Same goes for this one. We have to work a bit more on this one, but you can see someone goes inside like that. I'm trying to keep that continuity of these things, which will make them look way more like they are in the correct place. Let's work a bit on this one. It doesn't completely have to go in a correct way if you cannot find for some parts, but for the parts that you can do, you definitely should do. I don't know where to put this one. Maybe in here it will look like it connects to that one too. And this way we have a pretty good looking here. So I probably should at least try fixing this one, right? Okay, so we have a pretty good looking hair. Now, sometimes we want to add a bit of small parts. In our references, I see that we do have a bit something. Maybe fixing this part. We can drag down, or even make a separate object for this lower part of the hair. And now we can do a little bit of cheating. which I usually recommend doing it, I'll duplicate one of the strands P to separate it, go into it, and I'll scale it down. Now I will delete just vertices which I don't think we need, at least for now. Maybe later we will be adding a bit more. What you do is fill in. So sometimes it feels like it's lacking because most world haircuts will not have a hair perfectly standing in a position where they have to. We get some of the frail hair. Okay, definitely not this extreme though. This one is flying off. But we would have something like this. Okay. Let's fill in the place. I definitely can subdivide this part just to make this transition a bit sharper and cleaner. See how much it fills the empty space. So we don't have to do too many. You can go even a bit slimmer. But just adding a few will definitely help. They might be a bit hard to position, but the payback is usually worth it. Should have them bending in a different ways. Sometimes you can even connect them. It will still look decent. Okay. See? Fills in that emptiness of the hair. And in our reference, actually, there's a little bit of trick for you. So I want to have this line straight. What you can do is select it and S to scale it, and scale it on Z axis. So I'm going to make it flat this way, and I want to make it flat another way. So Z, and see which axis I need to check and just scale it to 0. This way I will have it completely flat. Let's check which tilt side we want. And we probably don't need that many vertices here, right? Oh, be careful to not select everything like I just did, because I accidentally moved those parts which we're already done with. And we can have, actually going to delete more because we definitely don't need much. We can have something like this. Don't forget to tilt them, make them move. Make them different sizes. And yeah, we're basically done with the hair. All we will have to do is just apply some material to them, but maybe you'll talk about that a bit later. So before maybe you'll start texturing, if you want to be using this head more than just rendering, probably should go ahead and retopologize these sculpted parts. I'll show you how to do it for one. So for hiding everything, I will select this, press Shift and hold it, and press H. It should hide everything, just not this strand. Now I'll create as again any object. It still has to be in the middle. So if you forgot how to do it, is Alt G, Alt R, and Alt S. Will reset all the things for it. Okay, I'll go into edit mode, select everything and delete it. Don't forget to use the snap tool, set it up to the face option. And for the hair, you usually don't use mirror. Control, right mouse click to place in the vertice and just follow the sharp parts. For the hair, you don't need that many. So just follow the shape. So just the sharp parts, as I teach you before. When we're done with this, I select two of edges, make it a face. And now just keep pressing F till I fill in everything. I see there's a bit too much of distance between these two. So I will try adjusting it. And now I can hide and see what's happening. Make sure you remember which one you hide. So it's really not that complicated. Let's do one more of the loops in here. It really depends how low you want to go. I would definitely not recommend going high. And if you want to increase the poly count, rather use Subdivision Surface. And with the Subdivision Surface, just use a shrink wrap, and that should be that. Okay, so let me follow vertices and see how it goes. I'll try to fill in the face now just to see if I got everything right. And when I have everything right, now I don't need to tilt my view too much because I can freely see what's happening underneath the strand. Oh, I would say it doesn't really matter how many polys you add, but if you're trying to make your job maybe a bit easier, you can still keep thinking about having a equal amount. So number divided by 2. That way you won't be creating any triangles. And a lot of people don't like dealing with the triangles. Okay, I'll fill in this one. And I think this one will be the last one to be filled in. Let's see what we have. Oh, I think we have one more place where to fill in. And it seems like our normals are flipped. So again, select everything, Shift and N. Now, for this ones you can do manually. So just by selecting a quarter and fill in. Because I have only 6, so it fills in very, very beautifully. If you have more and you're not sure how to fill in, and then press F3 and write grid, and you'll find this one. You can use Ctrl F shortcut. Let's try that, Ctrl F, and there's a grid fill. If you're not happy how it put in, let's do it again, grid fill. And on the options, we can rotate or add more segments, which in this case doesn't really make sense to add more. Let's do the same at the bottom. Can use the same grid fill if we're too lazy. And offset. And it's usually enough. But at this point, we kind of need the sharp part. So what I'm going to do is select both of those faces and extrude them. And try to fill in here. We can move this metal edge a bit forward to make it look like it has some sharpness. And we can just shade smooth. Let's unhide our head. Seems like it works perfectly fine. Now, sometimes we would like to add subdivision surface. We can only add one and it will definitely be enough. And just use on that strand. As you can see, it looks perfectly fine. Maybe you'll have to fix 1 or 2 weird errors where the lines get pushed away because of how it's formed, but usually it looks perfectly fine. So for my actual Jinx model, I did like this to all of my strands, but you're free to leave them. Let's make sure we put that low poly strand in the low poly options. You can always hide it. Okay. Now, maybe by a chance you'll want to texture your here, or you just don't want to keep it a curve. Let's press on them. Go into options. Firstly, I always like to check subdivisions, so if lowering makes it look really bad, so definitely 1 looks horrible. 2 is actually already looking pretty decent. So if it would be a game model, I would probably use 2. And for animation rendering, like 3 or 4 is definitely enough. Now, let's check on our curve how much we got, and we got 12. That's definitely too much. So I'll lower and check my hair so they don't change the shape too much. You can see sometimes those sharp edges starting to fade away. That's because there's not a lot of poly count, not a lot of vertices to fill in that. And seems like even with 2 we would be able to work. We want to make it look a bit crispier, so I'll have like 7. You can also, as always, go back to our thingy and do a little bit of adjustments. Nothing complicated. Probably not this extreme of change. Forgot that I have this snapping tool on. And I think this will be good. I'll hide this one. And I'll duplicate just for a test. So if I have these now selected and I go into my object, and there is a convert button, and you can convert it to mesh. So if you press this button, now go into edit mode, you can clearly see that this is a mesh. For my Jinx, what I did is select few edges, make sure you're in the edge mode, and use dissolve. If it's bothering you, or you're going to use it on game engines, you definitely should at least delete these ones, or as I told before, just lower a count of Bezier circle. This way you're able to UV and texture the hair. Now for rendering, we don't really need that, but it's happy that you will know now how to do it.